Hey everyone, Zach here, and welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, we are going to take a look at the hero deck that was popular during the March 2012 format, commonly referred to as skill drain heroes or hero beat. There's another variant of heroes that was popular this format called Bubble Beat, featuring Bubble Man, but we will get to that when we get to that point. So this is like a mixed build of the popular Joe Orlando build with the copies of Beast King Barbaros, but I'm not playing the Barbaroses. We'll talk about some card choices. Heroes are mainly played in more of a stun beatdown kind of variant, just overall, because you can play like skill drain heroes, bubble beat, or you can play like this kind of like hybrid thing I'm trying. So without further ado, let's get into this. So for the first card in the main deck, we play the single copy of Elemental Hero Stratos. I'm 95% sure everyone knows what Elemental Hero Stratos does at this point. Lets you add any of your hero monsters. Very good. Also, though it doesn't come up much, if in normal this, it can out some back row. So, not always bad. The next monster, probably one of the more well-known ones, are the 3 copies of Elemental Heroes Neos Alias. It is a Gemini monster. So I'm sure, for those of you who don't know, Gemini monsters can be normal summoned after you normal summon them, but in this deck that will never come up, because you actually want him to still be treated as a normal monster when we talk about a couple cards later. Also, he's also pretty solid just as a 1900 beat stick, and he's a light to help us get into our boss monster, Elemental Hero, The Shining. Then the final hero monster in the main deck is the one Elemental Hero Wildheart. I like Wildheart because this card's unaffected by traps, so it just is a pain in the ass sometimes to get around or over, and also it is always a decent card just to set, but this is also an easy card to side out. So this deck doesn't play a very large monster lineup, so we have 5 hero monsters. And then we only play 3 more monsters in the main deck. It is an 8 monster main deck, but you're playing a lot of consistency cards to get into the monsters. So we play the 2 Thunder King Ryo. Ryo is just good. Will always be good. It stuns opponents out. It makes the mirror match really easy. And yeah, that's why he's just always going to be good in this format. And then the last monster is the single copy of Crusader of Endymion. So you only play him because he's a light. Another Gemini monster in the last, you could also play monster is Evocator Chevalier. So he's just a fire monster in general. That's the only reason you run him. In one of my builds, I was even playing both. I was playing this lineup, and I was playing, I think, 42 in that build, but I personally think Crusader's better, but Evocator's also pretty solid, because Nova Master isn't bad, and that is going to wrap up the monster count in this deck. So the spells are just to help you get to your stuff. You play 3 of a lot of them, so let's begin. We have the 3 copies of Pot of Duality to let you get into more consistency. Someone will probably comment, but hey, won't you special summon a lot? Not really in this build, though there are cards that do allow you to special summon. The next card we're going to get into is a card called Gemini Spark. I really do like this card a lot. For the people who don't know, you can tribute a face-up level 4 Gemini monster, target 1 card on the field, and destroy it, and then draw a card. It is just nice spot removal if you have access to your Alias or your Crusader. It is really solid. And it helps with the consistency too, because it lets you get 1 card deeper. So for the fusion spells, we're just playing the 3 Miracle Fusion and the 2 Super Poly. So obviously Super Poly was a good card at this point, but it was not nearly as broken as it would get into the modern game. Whoops. Just this card, when we look at the extra deck, lets you get around a lot of interesting cards that, you know, see a lot of play. And of course, remember this card cannot be responded to, so it's pretty neat. We have the 2E Emergency Call and the 1 Rhoda. 3 search cards is good. 100%. You might be like, well, why don't you just play a 3E Call and the Rhoda? Well, so here's the thing. Yes, all your stuff here is E-Call and Rhodable, and if you're playing the Evocator Chevalier, Rhoda lets you search it. If you want to go to 41 cards on this list, you can try the 3E Call. It's just because you have 3 searchers for 5 targets, I don't think having the 3E Call is just worth it in the sense. And now we're going to talk about a card that a lot of people are going to not necessarily like, but we'll actually just quickly just cover the 2 back row play. 1 MST, 1 Heavy Storm. Why only 1 MST? We're playing the 3 Gemini Spark. We are playing the 1 Dark Hole and the 1 Monster Reborn. So the last spell in my build is probably a controversial spell to some extent in the deck. I am playing the 1 copy of A Hero Lives. So unfortunately I can't get you the text on this card because it's in French. But what A Hero Lives does is you pay half your life points, special summon a hero from your deck. It's a free Stratos. Like, it's just good. I like seeing Stratos as often as possible, so I can't complain. So this trap lineup is actually quite heavy. So we'll just start with the double bottomless trap hole. Double skill drain. Skill drain is just good because, you know, you're playing just a bunch of beat sticks at the end of the day. And skill drain is just overall good against a lot of decks at this point. So you can't really complain too much about that. So on to the more, you know, well-known ones. We have the Torrential, the Solemn package, 2 Warning, and a Judgment. Sorry if you can't see that it's a Judgment. There you go. Really standard. So the not standard stuff in the trap lineup, we have 2 copies of Dark Bribe and 2 copies of Hero Blast. So, Dark Bribe is a card that lets you, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can negate it, but they get to draw a card. So you're like, well, why do you want to let them draw a card? This deck is really reliant on the back row, so Dark Bribing a Dark Hole or a Heavy Storm or, you know, a power card is just good. And then for Hero Blast is a really cool card. You can target 1 Elemental Hero normal monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then destroy a face-up monster with attack less than or equal to it. So, and someone will probably go, well, wait a minute. None of these are normal monsters. Well, for the people, this is on me. I should have said it earlier. This card is always treated as a normal monster while face-up on the field or in the graveyard. That's why Alias is, in addition to just being a solid card, is really good in this deck specifically. So that is it for the main deck. It is 40 cards. Now let's get into the extra. So to begin this extra deck, we have the 3 copies of Elemental Hero The Shining. The Shining is a very cool monster, light warrior fusion with 2600 attack, 2100 defense. This has to be fusion summoned. It gains 300 attack for each of your banished hero monsters, which is why you will play the Miracle Fusion. So that does help. And in addition to this, when this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to target 2 of your banished hero cards and add them to your hand. And this is one of those cards I always do talk about when I talk about the card Soul Taker. That'll make this effect miss timing. This card is annoying as hell because guess what? They're getting back one of these. Usually these, and it's really annoying. But this is the de facto boss monster in this deck. So the next card we can play is, these are going to be super poly targets, or it can be a Miracle Fusion target if you are opting to play the Chevalier Gemini dude, which I like this card. Nova Master is really cool. It is a Warrior Fusion monster, must be fusion summoned. And if it destroys a card by battle, you draw a card. It's a nice card. It lets you get consistency. So, again, the one thing that you'll notice is, like, you can't, like, Monster Reborn these guys, which... So next we have Elemental Hero Ab-Zero. This is another super poly target in the case of this deck. If you're playing Bubble Beat, you'll obviously make it. He takes a hero and a water. Must be fusion summon, gains 500 for each water monster on the field. So, except himself. So that doesn't necessarily matter. But the effect of him that matters is when he leaves the field, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So this card makes board clearing very good. Why do I play 2? This one I think has come up the most in just playing with super poly targets. So we have a couple more super poly targets to talk about. Oh, this one you can also Miracle Fusion. We play the single copy of Elemental Hero Great Tornado. You know, has the same clause, must be fusion summon, can't be another way. Once fusion summon, have the attack of all the opponent's monsters, which is actually not bad. It lets you make a push for game. And I mean, you do already play the Stratos, so Miracle Fusioning for it isn't terrible. Or, funny enough, I have super polyed an opponent Stratos to make this, so that's neat. We have the Elemental Hero Gaia. Gaia is cool. It is the Earth hero of this kind of variant. You know, it has to be fusion summoned from the graveyard, or it has to be fusion summoned, cannot be summoned from the graveyard. When it's fusion summoned, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and its attack is halved, and then this card gains that attack till the end phase. He's not the greatest, but Gaia isn't terrible by any means. And then the last hero is the Elemental Hero Escarado. Just like all of these, it must be fusion summoned. It cannot be special summoned any other way. It gains 100 attack for each hero in your graveyard. So you might be like, well, if it's capping out at, you know, 3K, what's the point? There are a lot of popular dark monsters in the format. This card is strictly a super poly target. So yeah, and then the last super poly target, and a card I actually really like, is Dragon Knight Draco Quest. So, for those of you who don't know, this is only here for a super poly target. Its effect has 0 relevance, but its synchro materials are 1 dragon type synchro and a warrior. A lot of decks like to end on things like Stardust Dragon, use a Scrap Dragon at some point, and just other, you know, staple dragons. You see a lot of them in this format. So just being able to drop this out of nowhere and have a 3200 beater is really nice. There's 4 Xyz in this deck. To begin, we have the little Utopia package. It's just really standard. Surprisingly, you don't make it as much as you'd think, because this is like when I was you know, testing this, you know, because you play all the Solemns, you're even playing a Hero Live, so I'm like, you're gonna be down to low life a lot. No, not really. Heroes are a deck that I've noticed a lot of the time you'll either get blown out or you'll blow them out. I don't know why it's like that. It just kind of is. And the last monsters in the extra deck are, because this was a really relevant card, the 2 Blade Armor Ninja. So most people probably know what this does by now. It's because it's been good for multiple iterations of heroes. Once per turn, you detach a material, target a hero, ninja, target itself, can attack twice. It's just a game ender. Oh, and it's a wind. So again, if you want to, you know, Miracle Fusion into the guy again, the Great Tornado, you can. And yeah, that is it for this deck profile. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The next deck profile is going to be Dark Worlds, then Gravekeepers, but after that, feel free to join our Discord, where we will have votes for the next, you know, rogue decks I talk about. Since there are a lot of interesting concepts in this format, it's just a matter of, you know, seeing what people want. Expect more match videos coming out in the near future. I'm hoping to get some remote duels going that hopefully I can get for you guys. We can do screen recording and get all that stuff done. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys soon. Peace.